Welcome to the Tesla Economist. Please hit the thumbs up and remember to subscribe. You can follow me on Twitter and talk to me on Patreon. I wanted to go through Elon's recent interview with the Financial Times. I think there were quite a few hidden gems said that no one seems to be talking about. Personally, I thought it was a great interview. I won't go over the whole thing, just the elements that relate to Tesla. And rather than just repeat what you already heard, I'll just try and give my opinion as to what it may mean to the future of Tesla. Elon talks about the new car companies, EV startups, and says they are all jumping in at the deep end when they've never even made a vehicle before and trying to create a high volume vehicle. He compares it to not practicing your athletic sport and then going to the Olympics. You're not going to win. And seeing Rivian's recent financials, they're losing about $450,000 on every vehicle they sell, and Lucid almost twice that again. Well, it sounds like what Elon was saying is true. Elon says, "I am confident we can sell every car we can make." Great. That sounds good. And the backlog of orders reinforce that statement too, given the lead time to order a Tesla is ridiculously long. Elon again saying our issue is not demand, it's production. Tesla products are still far too popular relative to the amount of vehicles they can make. This is still a rapidly growing industry. More and more consumers are turning to EVs. We are reaching the inflection point here. Everyone I talk to with an electric car, not just a Tesla, loves them. They are the future, but there aren't close to enough being made. Elon says that they may just stop taking orders for anything beyond a certain period of time. Tesla have already done this with the Model S and X. I think outside of the US, or perhaps Canada too, you're not able to order an S or X anymore. Anyway, basically Elon thinks zero about demand generation, I guess as in marketing or advertising. Besides, Elon gets plenty of organic publicity anyway. So instead of thinking about generating demand, Elon says he thinks a lot about production, engineering and supply chains, which makes sense. In other words, Elon is trying to work out the supply issue. They created a great product where people are willing to beat a path to your door. That's usually the hard part, except this product is rather complex and thus requires a lot of effort, time and resources into improving the efficiencies of production. Therefore, that is why Elon concentrates on the supply side, as that is the bottleneck. Elon is asked about what Tesla might look like in 2030 to make 20 million cars. An interesting question. A lot of potential bean-spilling questions being asked. But Elon quickly announces that this is not a forum for announcing new products. Elon says the 20 million by 2030 is an aspiration, not a promise, but we seem to be back to 20 million by 2030 again, rather than what Elon said at the Giga Berlin opening, saying it wouldn't be for 10 more years. Elon thinks that Tesla have a good chance of reaching 20 million by 2030 still, despite everything else they've been facing lately. Elon talking about how fast Tesla's growth rate has been, faster than any large manufactured product in the history of Earth, even faster than the Model T. Elon says if that growth continues, then obviously they'll reach 20 million a year. Now we know Tesla's growth rate has been absolutely crazy, with 70% CAGR. The fact Elon even hints at this growth continuing is a huge deal, as Tesla would hit 20 million a year run rate as early as 2027. Elon does say it's roughly equally as difficult to get to 20 million units a year as it has been to get to the level they are today. Wow, that sounds really difficult then. Just think how difficult it might be for anyone else then to produce even just 2 million units a year. But Tesla did make it to where they are today, so hopefully they can make it to 20 million too. I've got to say, the interviewer is asking some good questions here. It's almost as if he's holding Tesla stock or something. He then asks what are the biggest uncertainties for Tesla in 2030. Elon says that there are likely some long-term lithium constraints, which he has touched on several times before, along with nickel for cathode materials. Elon says, though, that the mining and especially the refining capacity are where the bottlenecks lie, but particularly the equipment necessary to convert the ore into battery-grade materials. Elon is asked whether he thinks Tesla has succeeded in its goal, and Elon says if Tesla's goal is getting the industry to move into electric vehicles, then they have succeeded. Elon also says that he will stay at Tesla for as long as he can be useful, which is reassuring to hear. He's then asked about Tesla's future in China and how much of Tesla's growth and potential lies there. Elon said that China will be about a quarter of their market long term. Again, more investor-like questions asked about if they plan on opening more factories in China. Elon says that they are not planning on opening any additional plants in China, by which I believe he is referring to new locations. So Shanghai will remain as the sole location for Tesla China. I think I recall Elon has said in the past that he would consider an additional plant in Beijing, but that doesn't sound likely now. He does also say, though, that Tesla will continue to be expanding the Shanghai location, which we have seen happen so far, and with a new fab meant to start construction perhaps next month, but production will be focused on the two new factories mainly. Of course, it's not an Elon interview without touching on FSD and autonomy, and Elon is asked, how the understanding of autonomy has changed over the years. Elon thinks Tesla are no longer trapped in a local maximum, of which he admits he may be wrong, but thinks Tesla are actually quite close to achieving self-driving at a safety level that is better than a human, and Elon still thinks they'll reach that stage this year. I know he said this already, and the market probably won't care, but it really is a massive milestone. Elon reiterates again, we are really not far from it. Personally, I do believe him, and Tesla appear to be orienting the company around this coming into fruition, and obviously believe it a great deal too. Going into the moral dilemmas of FSD, Elon did say he is a strong believer in enduring the reality of good over the perception of good, and he has utter contempt for those who prefer the perception of good over the reality of it, which I'm sure we can all agree. And essentially that Tesla would rather be sued doing the right thing than not be sued doing the wrong thing. Again, the interviewer trying it on with some more Tesla production questions, asking what is their approach to a smaller, more affordable end of the market. Elon says scooters are too dangerous, and he has touched on two-wheel drive vehicles before, saying they're too dangerous for Tesla. After being pushed a little, Elon says that there is some probability Tesla will do a car smaller than a Model 3, but a compact, more affordable Tesla doesn't sound like it's coming soon. Translation for investors, higher ASPs for some time. Elon is asked if he would ever consider licensing his platform to other OEMs. He says they have already open sourced all their patents. Now, we knew Tesla had open sourced a lot in the past, and we had assumptions that the others may also be opened, but I believe this might be the first official confirmation that all the battery day advances are available to any other OEM. Elon says that traditional car makers, i.e. legacy autos, will solve electrification. I've also been discussing this lately too, and agree, only I think that there is a good chance that the ICE businesses will go bankrupt in the meantime. Elon does say that these other auto manufacturers should license Tesla's FSD and Autopilot, as it will save a lot of lives, but Tesla may need to prove themselves first. I have to say again, I really do like some of these questions. The next one the interviewer asked was, out of all other EV startups, which one impressed Elon the most? Elon says, the company making the most progress with EVs is Volkswagen, which if you recall, I also just mentioned in my recent top-selling EVs video. Volkswagen are doing what they can to get close to volume production, with targets of getting models from 30 hours on the production line down to 16 hours, however that is still just under volume production. So in Elon's opinion, Volkswagen is doing the most on the electric vehicle front, in case any BYD investors listening. But rest assured, out of all BEV OEMs, BYD does make the most mobile handsets. Elon does think there'll be some very strong companies coming out of China though, as they are exceptional at manufacturing and just work so hard. Elon is asked about the next biggest thing in transportation, and he says tunnels are underappreciated. And then he goes on about what he usually does about 3D living with 2D streets. Elon was asked about how he feels about the future of Tesla, and he replies, I think the future of Tesla is extremely strong, which is always reassuring to hear. Elon talks about how they have a good position with cash and debt, and goes on to say the future of Tesla is incredibly bright. Elon was asked if he would ever consider buying another car maker, at which Elon quickly says it will be highly unlikely. He has in the past entertained the possibility, although most of us don't really like that idea, but it now seems that this is not a likely possibility. So horizontal integration doesn't seem likely for Tesla. So the interviewer asks him about further vertical integration, and will Tesla get into mining? Elon says it's not out of the question. They will address whatever limitations there are in accelerating the world to sustainable energy. Do you get it? Tesla is an accelerate the world to sustainable energy company, and they're willing to do whatever is necessary in order to get there, whether it requires learning how to make in-house batteries, improve manufacturing speeds by an order of magnitude, or reinvent mining processes. Anyway, I thought this was a good interview with some good questions, and Elon seems very confident and positive about the future of Tesla, hopefully of which that is also synonymous with his confidence in the 4680 lines. Thanks for listening. Please hit the thumbs up and subscribe. You can follow me on Twitter and talk to me on Patreon.